I'm Simon Dewsbury, PGA staff professional here at Belmont Country Club. We're going to continue with our series on how to think your way around the golf course. We're looking at hole number 4 right now. We're going to show you not only the perfect shots, but what happens if you don't hit it perfect. So we're going to put ourselves into a couple of positions where we've got sloping lies with the ball below our feet, ball above our feet, even with the ball in the rough, and how we're going to play those shots and how to get that to work to your advantage. Let's go. All right, here we go. Par 4, straight away. We got bunkers left, bunkers on the right hand side as well, but the fairway's really wide. The biggest problem here that we have is that these distances are in a straight line. But if the camera pans around, you'll see that we are not playing this flat. This is an uphill par 4. This is going to play longer than 377 off the back tees, 352 off the blues. It'll play a lot longer than 259 off the forward tees, off the red tees. As we get into the fairway and we're playing our second, and if we're a higher handicap, probably our third shot towards the green, we've got to keep in mind that we are playing uphill. The ball is going to fall out of the sky earlier because of that. So we need to take more club with our second and third shots, our approach shots into the green, and offset the actual distance we're lasering with the true variance of the slope on the fairway going up to the green. It could be 1 and maybe even 2 clubs for the elevation change that we've got on this hole. Okay, so standing on this tee, again we're starting on the gold tees. We've got bunkers up the left, bunkers up the right, but a 40-yard wide fairway. So we've got plenty of room to aim into. If we're confident that we know the shot we're going to hit, either a fade or a draw, we're going to aim it left edge of the fairway and fade it into the fairway. So I've got 35-40 yards of fairway to drift across into. The same if I play the draw, aiming at the right edge of the fairway, drift it back to the left, I've got 35-40 yards of fairway. If I try to hit it straight and go down the stripe in the middle of the fairway and then I miss-hit it, I've only got 20 yards of fairway to work with, depending on which way the ball actually goes. So always try and set yourself up to play a particular shot, fade or draw, and then set yourself in the tee to help you align and build into that swing. With the shoulder injury and the surgeries I've had, I have more difficulty hitting the draw nowadays, so I'm going to set myself up and aim up the left edge of the fairway and play for my fade to move it into the middle. So I'm going to set myself up on the right hand side of the tee. So that when I get set, I'm going to open my body up into the tee box a little bit to play this shot up the left. Move it a little bit left to right into the middle of the fairway. If I was going to play the draw, I would set myself up more over here on the left hand side of the tee, because here now it automatically feels like I want to push my body more around to the right to set myself up, aiming up towards the right edge so that I can then work it around. So use the tee width to your advantage to set yourself up to play the shot that you want to play. Alright, the blue tees here, there's not a huge variance in both distance or angle between the gold tees and the blues. So it still sets up very similar. You could play it either way, left to right or right to left, fade or draw. Keep in mind that it's a 40-yard wide fairway, so there's plenty of leeway to work our golf balls into. Don't think I've got to look at that and go straight at that flag and hit it straight. We can play to your favored shot. As we move up to the whites and then the forward tees, then we'll begin to see a slight variance in the angles. So we'll have a little talk about that now as well. From the white tees, the angles moved over to the left, but the viewpoint changes as well, it's a little clearer and easier to see that the fairway actually bowls on both sides. It kind of kicks down towards the middle. However, the slope begins to kick in here as well. So if you are a higher handicap or you struggle to get the golf ball up into the air with a driver, use a more lofted fairway wood. Use a 3-wood, use a 5-wood. Get the ball up so that we're not driving the ball into the bank here in front of us and coming up short of the fairway. Use the elevation of a more lofted wood, get the ball up into the air. They generally tend to be a little more forgiving as well with our directional control, so it's going to get us more into play into the fairway rather than generally slicing off towards the out of bounds up the right hand side, or conversely trying to correct that and pulling one up the cart path up the left. Use the lofted woods, get the ball into play, and again, use your handicap allowance to your advantage. Alright, the green and the red tees, the forward tees, they share a tee box again. 269 from the greens, 259 from the red, so not a huge variance in terms of the distance. But again, right in front of us here, we've got that elevation change to go up towards the fairway. If you have a slower swing speed, the driver is not going to be as easy to get up into the air. Use a more lofted fairway wood. Get the ball up over the rough here in front of us. Get the ball into the fairway. Make the hole play as easy as possible for your ability. If you don't hit the middle of the fairway, you end up in the peripheries, either in the fairway or up in the rough. We've got to look at the variables of what's happening now. I've got the inclinometer down here so that it's going to highlight what is actually happening with the slope. If I was on a perfectly flat lie, I've lasered this out. It's 132 to the flag, so for me that's just a smooth pitching wedge. The inclinometer though is showing me that I've got a 4.1 degree variance going uphill towards the green. Most of my golf clubs are set so that I have 4 degrees of loft between my clubs. So if I set myself up, there's my pitching wedge. If I set myself up there, as if I was playing from a flat lie, I've got the true loft on the golf club. But the inclinometer is showing me that I've actually got 4 more degrees of loft. The club there, when I actually set to it, I'm leaning with the slope a little bit. My weight is a little more into my trail side, and that variance is causing the loft angle to go up by 4 degrees. So if I switch out to my 9-iron, that's going to now give me what would have been the loft of my pitching wedge, and I get back into my distance control. The difference now between the two clubs is that the 9-iron is ½ an inch longer than my wedge. So all I would do there is take the less lofted club to play as a true pitching wedge because of the variance on the loft going into the slope, but I'm going to drop my hands down ½ an inch on the grip to offset that extra length there and play it as if I was holding my pitching wedge. So with the loft variance on the slope, the 9-iron becomes the club of choice to play the shot. We also now have to take into account the fact that the golf ball is below my feet. So when I get set up to it, I'm leaning a little bit onto my trail side, but I want to feel as though I'm sticking my butt into the slope a little bit to make sure that I don't fall down the hill while I'm making a swing. So it makes me feel a little bit heavier into my feet. It's going to mean that my lower body is a little bit more restricted as I swing. So as I get to impact, it's going to be harder to clear and rotate through into my follow through. The chances are I would actually probably release my hands a little bit and let the club head go past my body a little bit more than I would if I was on that perfectly flat lie. So I'm more likely to actually hit this straight or even with a slight draw than I would be to actually hit it down the hill and down the slope with a fade. Sit into the butt a little bit. moved up into the rough now, just so that we can talk about this shot. We've still got the same slope variances. The ball's below my feet. I'm still inclined going up towards the hole. So again, we can get rid of the pitching wedge. We're going to keep with the 9-iron. The biggest difference now, obviously, is that we're not in the fairway, we are in the rough. So as I hit the golf ball, there's likely to be a layer of grass trapped between the club face and the golf ball. It's going to reduce the spin coming off the club face a little bit. So the ball is going to come off a little bit lower, it's going to push a little bit. It's dry grass, so I'm unlikely at this point to get a flyer where the ball just kind of bullets off the face. Because I've got that thick grass to go through though, my grip pressure is going to firm up a little bit. I've got to get a little stronger in my hand so that I can drive through the grass. And I'm going to offset the slope. This is a really significant slope this time. I'm going to grip back up at the top of the swing. That's going to give me just an extra 1 or 2 mile an hour club head speed. Stay as relaxed as possible until I'm in the swing. Butt sticks out a little bit, my weight's towards my heels, keep me centered and grounded. Really swing my arms hard. The ball comes out well and we're up on the green. Alright, we've moved over onto the right hand side of the fairway now so that you can see the viewpoint from the opposite side. We've still got the elevation going up, just particularly where this golf ball is. The inclination of the slope going up to the green is 3.25 degrees here. So it's still significant, it's still close to a full club in loft variance. So I'm still going to use the 9-iron as opposed to my pitching wedge from 130 out. If it was a perfectly flat lie, when I address the golf ball, I'm going to have the club face pointing towards the target. I get set. But because I'm below the golf ball here, when I get set, my hands are actually going to be a lot lower down the slope here, and it's naturally changing the inclination of the loft angle. So I'm actually more likely here to launch the ball off to the left, just from the fact that I've got the loft of the club and the angle of the slope changing that variable for me. So when I get set for this, I'm going to actually angle myself a little bit more into the hill, a little bit more up the slope, so that now I'm actually producing the shot. It feels like I'm aiming towards the right edge of the bunker, but it's more likely that the golf ball is going to come off a little bit left of where I'm aiming. With me being below the slope again, my weight is naturally going to fall a little bit towards my heels, so I'm going to keep my lower body quiet, rely more on my upper body, so I stay stable down here with my lower body, and work the ball with the flow, and bring it into the flag. Moved up a little bit further now to talk about layup shots. You want to put yourself into a position where you've got your favoured shot. For me, that's between 90 and 100 yards. We lasered this off and then placed the ball here for the video at 92 to the flag. Again, we're still going up the hill, so it's going to play a little bit longer than that. It's going to play closer to 100 yards. The inclinometer here is telling me that it is pretty much a flat lie. There's 0.65 degree variance between flat and going up the hill. And again, if we switch around that way, absolute zero, so perfectly flat lie. So there's going to be no variation in terms of the direction control for changing the ball coming off the club face. But I'm setting myself up right now for the video purposely, but hopefully to a point when I'm playing, that if I hit a really bad tee shot and I'm in the trees, I'm not trying to play a miracle shot to get me up to the green. I want to put myself into a position where my next shot is as easy as possible. For me growing up, we had a driving range that was close to home that I used to practice at, and they had the 50-yard marker and the 100-yard marker right in front of the mat that I really like to practice at. Now in the winter there was nobody else down there, I could pick where I wanted to practice from, so I got really comfortable at those two distances. If I can get 50 yards away from the flag, I'm going to play it to there. If I can't get that close to the green, I'm going to give myself my next favourite distance, which for me is going to be try and get it into a flat lie, and I'm 92 yards playing with the slope. It's going to play to 100. That just for me is a full sand wedge, and all I've got to do now is make a smooth swing, go through my routine. Straight to the flag. Make your recovery shots, or make your next shot as easy as possible. Get yourself to a distance that you feel comfortable playing into the flag from. Okay, ideally we would walk up the fairway to the green and start to see the peripheries and look at it. Obviously we're on a members golf course, a country club. We've got golf carts. We're parking behind the green really and walking in from the side. So my viewpoint, I'm still going to check everything off, but it's just a slightly different viewpoint. I'm looking down as I walk down into the green. We've got 3 golf balls out there because obviously we've played a few different shots from different angles. But check the high points, which are at the back of the green, pushing down towards the tee. So I know those 3 balls there have got uphill putts. It's going to be a variance now of left to right, right to left. So I don't need to see my side viewpoint when I'm aligning it. Come in, and my ball mark. Again, mark the golf ball and clean it while you're looking. So you're checking your angles. See, this is, we know it's uphill because it's going that way. I know it's going to be a left to right breaking putt. I'm just going to walk around this way so that I can check to see just how significant that slope is from behind the hole. Stalking the putt almost, trying to feel where it's coming from. Most important thing, pick your line and then trust it. Don't stand over the ball and start second guessing yourself. Again, easy 2-putt. Check your follow through as well. Make sure that you're not standing too close to the hole in case your playing partners go past. You don't want to be putting footprints on their lines. And this one's spun back from past. So this is the one that my most comfortable distance, my 92 to 100 yard shot. Landed just past. Again, the slope bringing it back towards the hole. Trust that the pre-shot routine is the same. Feelings, consistency all the time. I'm not panicking. That's my up and down after recovering from a bad tee shot. And the last one been from the edges of the fairways or coming from the rough. This realistically would be my birdie chance. The hill, can get a little bit more confident with the stroke to attack it, because this is what we would consider to be a big hole. Fist pump. Here's the birdie. So big hole and little hole. If I'm going up the hill, the hole is not going to be flat, it's going to be angled towards me. So the back edge is kind of raised and the ball can actually go into it more like a backstop. So I can be a little more aggressive with that, have a little bit more speed, knowing that as the ball goes past the front edge, it's going to be falling into the hole and into the back edge. If I'm going away and I'm coming down the hill, that back edge is tilted away from me. It becomes a smaller hole because the ground is going away, the ball is falling with the ground as well. So I have to be a lot slower with my speed for the ball to drop in. So big hole is where we're going up the hill. We can be a little more confident, a little more aggressive with the putt. When it's down the hill, that's the small hole. We've got to be a little more tentative and have the ball kind of dying into the front edge. So use that and think about that when you're putting as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you've got any comments, leave them down below. Any suggestions for future videos as well, really appreciate the input.